Kookaburra, the legendary snake hunter of the Australian wild. This is the story of a bird that seems to do nothing but laugh, yet is a living nightmare for anything that slithers. Kookaburra, a name that sounds playful, even a little odd, comes from the Aboriginal word guuguubarra, which mimics the bird's unmistakable call. For generations of Australians, its wild, echoing laugh has become the sound of dawn, a call that greets the forest with mischief and mystery. But behind that seemingly joyful noise lies a creature far more calculated, sharper, quieter, and driven by a primal instinct to survive. Although classified as a kingfisher, the kookaburra lives nothing like its water-loving cousins. It doesn't dive for fish in shimmering lakes. Instead, it stalks prey on land, along the forest edge, across farmland, and even in suburban backyards. With a body length of 16 to 18 inches and a weight between 10 and 17 ounces, it may not be a giant among birds. But make no mistake, it's one of the fiercest hunters you'll ever encounter. Its familiar voice, woven deep into the culture and childhood of Australia, has made the kookaburra a living symbol of folklore, of cartoons, of campfire songs. It carries laughter, yes, but also secrets, both a companion to humans and a silent terror to the creatures rustling in the grass below. Quiet, discreet, yet never timid, the kookaburra thrives in semi-wild landscapes, forest edges, dry grasslands, rural farms, and even the outskirts of suburban neighborhoods. It doesn't need dense jungles or vast lakes, just a tall perch to scan the ground, a low bush where prey might pass, and just enough silence for its laugh to carry, a bold, unmistakable declaration of territory. Kookaburras live in lifelong pairs, fiercely loyal, highly territorial. Each pair claims a patch of land and uses their iconic calls to warn off intruders, even other kookaburras. Those long, echoing laughs aren't just whimsical background noise, they're part of a complex communication system, a language of bonding, warning, and boundary setting in a world where every inch of space matters. They don't migrate. They don't wander with the seasons. Kookaburras stay close to where they were born. And when a new clutch hatches in the hollow of an old tree, last year's chicks often remain, not as competition, but as helpers, aiding their parents in raising the next brood. Each morning, that laughter ringing through the trees is more than a cheerful wake-up call. It's the voice of a family, a community, standing watch over the land they call home. At first glance, the kookaburra looks much like any other friendly bird. But beneath those soft feathers lies a perfectly engineered hunting machine, forged by millions of years of evolution in one of the world's toughest environments. Its beak is long, thick, slightly curved, and incredibly strong, like a pair of living steel pliers. Once it clamps down on the head or neck of its prey, it rarely lets go. But its secret weapon isn't just the beak, it's the neck. Supple, yet powerful. The kookaburra's neck muscles allow it to whip its head with brutal force, enough to stun or even kill snakes nearly as long as its own body. The kookaburra doesn't rely on speed like a hawk, or razor-sharp talons like an eagle. It relies on patience. It sits motionless on a high branch, eyes scanning the forest floor. When the moment comes, it strikes, fast and precise, like an arrow. With its target locked in its beak, it returns to the perch and begins its signature finishing move, smashing the prey repeatedly against a hard surface, a tree trunk, a rock, a root. Not once. Sometimes 5, 10, even 20 violent strikes, until the prey lies completely still. Its strong wings help it stay balanced as it wrangles a thrashing meal. And it's this combination of patience, raw power, and ruthless accuracy that makes the kookaburra one of the most formidable snake hunters in the entire bird kingdom. We've just seen how the kookaburra is armed with a fearsome hunting toolkit, from its steel-strong beak to its whip-like neck. But only when you witness it in action do you truly understand why this bird strikes fear into the hearts of snakes. It's a damp morning in the Australian bush. Beneath a thick canopy of palm leaves, a kookaburra stands motionless on a branch. Silent, focused, like a warrior, waiting for the perfect moment. Below, a snake slithers slowly through the decaying leaf litter, unaware. Every subtle movement falls neatly into the hunter's sights. Then, snap. The kookaburra dives. Wings slicing through the air, its beak clamps down on the snake's head in a single, flawless strike. No trial, no error. Clutching its prey, wings pumping, it lifts off and lands on a nearby wooden railing. And that's where the execution begins. It swings its neck. One brutal strike. The snake's head slams against the wood. Then again. And again. Thud. 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 The sound echoes in the quiet morning air. Cold, methodical, relentless. The snake's body begins to go limp. Resistance fades. Blood flows. The skull collapses. Until all that's left is a lifeless ribbon of flesh, dangling from the kookaburra's beak. There's no rush. It gives a quick shake, then swallows its prize with calm precision. It's midday, the forest floor shimmering under soft golden sunlight. A slender green snake glides across the grass, its smooth body weaving gently toward a split-trunk tree. But it doesn't know. The hunter is already watching. A kookaburra lies in wait nearby, silent, unmoving. Its eyes locked onto every subtle flicker of movement. Then, the moment arrives. Snap. In a flash, the kookaburra bursts out from the grass, clamping its beak down on the snake's tail. It yanks backward. Swift, sudden, decisive. The snake panics. It thrashes hard, desperate to break free from the steel grip locked on its tail. But instead of fighting back, it chooses flight. The snake coils upward, twisting along the tree trunk, climbing fast, shockingly fast. For a few seconds, the kookaburra holds on, its beak still gripping the tail. But inch by inch, the snake slips from its grasp. And then, it's gone. The last flick of the tail disappears beyond reach. The kookaburra can only watch. A chance missed. A meal escaped. But that's the wild for you, where even the best hunters don't always win. Sometimes, a single bite to the tail is enough to shake the whole forest. This was a rare encounter, and a dangerously close call. A massive snake moved silently through the upper canopy, its long body weaving between branches heavy with yellowing fruit, basking under a pale, overcast sky. It wasn't in a hurry. It wasn't afraid. Up here, high in the trees, few things posed any real threat. But then, the kookaburra appeared. No hesitation, no silent observation like before. It launched upward from below, aiming straight for the snake's head. Maybe it was instinct, maybe a territorial reaction, or maybe a fatal mistake. Because this time, the prey didn't run. The moment the kookaburra's beak touched its body, the snake's thick tail whipped around and coiled tight. In seconds, the hunter became the hunted. Pinned between tangled limbs, the bird couldn't flap its wings, couldn't move, suspended dozens of feet above the ground, with no way out. A desperate struggle unfolded in midair. The kookaburra twisted, kicked, fought, but it was useless. The snake wasn't trying to kill, just to remove the nuisance. But that was more than enough. The bird's body began to droop, like a rag in the branches. It looked over, and then, at the exact moment, the snake slithered onward. The pressure eased. The tail loosened. The kookaburra surged forward with one last burst, a violent twist, and broke free. It shot into the sky, disappearing into the gray clouds, as if nothing had ever happened. This time it got lucky. But in the wild, where every decision has a price, not every predator gets the chance to tell the story. To us, the kookaburra is a snake hunter, but in the wild, it's a far more versatile predator, with a surprisingly flexible diet. It's not picky. In fact, the kookaburra will eat almost anything that fits in its powerful beak. Large insects like beetles, crickets, and grasshoppers, lizards, frogs, spiders, small mice, and of course, snakes, from tiny slithering inches to those nearly as long as the bird itself. Unlike many birds that only hunt when hungry, kookaburras strike for other reasons too. To defend territory, to train their young, or simply because an opportunity presents itself. They're most active at dawn and dusk, the hours when countless small creatures start to stir. That's when the kookaburra's high vantage point becomes a weapon, spotting even the faintest movement in the underbrush. But this bird is more than a solitary hunter. It plays a vital role in the ecosystem. By preying on rodents, snakes, and crop-damaging insects, the kookaburra helps regulate populations, especially in farming zones and suburban edges where pests thrive. It is a living link between wild forest and cultivated land, between untamed nature and human life, and while its eerie laughter may send chills down your spine, the kookaburra remains an essential thread in the ecological fabric of Australia. Behind its powerful beak and brutal hunting strikes lies a surprisingly tender side of the kookaburra. This is not a solitary bird. Far from it, the kookaburra is a creature of kinship, of deep-rooted social bonds, where pairs and generations remain connected for life. A pair of kookaburras often mates for life, and when breeding season arrives, they don't build brand new nests. Instead, they repurpose old ones, hollow tree trunks, decaying wood cavities, or even abandoned holes left by other birds. Inside that shadowy chamber, 2 to 4 eggs are laid. Ivory white, smooth, and well protected in the heart of the tree. Both parents take turns incubating, but here's what sets them apart. Older siblings, from previous broods, often stay behind to help raise the next. This cooperative breeding, a rarity among birds, isn't enforced. It's instinct, it's heritage. When the eggs hatch, fragile blind chicks are fed mouthfuls of insects, tiny lizards, and sometimes bits of snake brought home by the parents. But the bond runs deeper than food. At dawn and dusk, the entire family may break into a collective laugh, a synchronized chorus echoing through the treetops. A greeting, a declaration. We are here, and we are one. Kookaburra, a symbol of Australia's wild heart, is not currently listed as an endangered species. But that doesn't mean it's safe. As old forests are cleared for roads, homes, and resorts, the tree hollows that once served as their nesting grounds are disappearing. No nest, no eggs, no eggs, no laughter. In urban and suburban areas, kookaburras are beginning to struggle with more than just habitat loss. It's not the lack of prey, it's the noise. Car engines, construction sounds, and artificial lights are disrupting their natural rhythms, confusing their hunting patterns and routines. What's more, humans often feed them, sometimes raw meat, other times processed food. This seemingly kind gesture can have unintended consequences. Some kookaburras stop hunting altogether, become dependent on handouts, and slowly lose the instincts that once made them fierce and self-reliant. Today, you might still hear their familiar laughter echo from a tree near your home. But if things continue this way, one day that laughter may vanish from the forest for good. In the wild, it's not always the biggest or the fastest that reigns. It's not sharp talons or broad wings that guarantee survival. Sometimes, it's a small creature standing alone in the open woods that dares to laugh in the face of death. A bird that doesn't just laugh, but survives through cold instinct and razor-sharp wit. The kookaburra, a true icon of Australia's wild, isn't just another bird. It's living proof of a quiet truth, that in nature, courage isn't about size, it's about resilience. And that laughter, echoing through the early forest, reminds us that nature is still here, still fighting, still waiting for its story to be told. If you believe the kookaburra is a living legend, don't hesitate. Leave a comment, hit like, and subscribe to join us in telling the extraordinary tales of the strange, the beautiful, and the irreplaceable.